August 17th, 2020. I just finished a 4-day holiday in Winnebago County Jail for walking on a crosswalk. Let me read off the charges to you. Let me read off the felony charge that kept me in there for 4 days. In the name and by the authority of the people of the state of Illinois, McNeese Dominic hereinafter called the complainant on oath charges that on or about August 14, 2020, in the county of Winnebago, state of Illinois, Leslie J. Roth committed the offense of mob action with 2 or more persons, and that said defendant knowingly, by the use of force and violence, disturbed the public peace, and that he, while acting together with Terry Patterson and without authority of law, together they obstructed police and together blocked traffic and caused delay issues in traffic in violation of 720 ILCS 525-1A1, a class 4 felony punishable by 1 to 3 years in the Illinois Department of Correctional Facility, 1 year MSR, maximum fine $25,000. Signed by Dominic McNeese. Now, I want you to go back and watch those videos. I want you to go back and watch those videos from Friday, and I want you to find where I used force and violence to disturb the public peace. And I want you to think about this too. For the past 2.5 months, these police officers have been using excessive force and harassment. Winnebago County Sheriff's officers and Rockford Police Department officers and Metro officers have been using harassment and excessive force at every single chance that they get. And I want you to think to yourself, if I used any force and violence on Friday, do you think that they would not have reciprocated that force and violence back onto me? I'll answer it for you. Yes, they would have reciprocated that force and violence back onto me. The reason that it was not force and violence reciprocated back onto me is because I have never used force and violence at any point in time that I have been out protesting. This is BS. Dominic McNeese has lied under oath. Whoever is the supervising officer for Dominic McNeese has allowed Dominic McNeese to lie under oath. It is multiple different video angles that can show that I use no force and violence. There's over 100 witnesses who can prove that I use no force and violence. So if Dominic McNeese and the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office will lie with 100 witnesses that can disprove them, with multiple videos that can disprove them, all to get somebody off of a crosswalk, what kind of lies do you think they tell to solve robberies? What kind of lies do you think they tell to bust drug dealers? What kind of lies do you think they tell to solve murders? What kind of lies do you think they tell when there is not 100 witnesses to disprove what they're saying? What kind of lies do you think they tell when it is not multiple video angles that can disprove what it is that they're saying? If they will go to this extent to tell a bold-faced lie on paper and sit somebody in jail for 4 days for walking on a crosswalk protesting, what extent do you think they go to solve robbery, homicides, and drug bust? Probably pretty lengthy extents. So, Dominic McNeese, who signed this, and the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office, liars. When this criminal case is finished with, they'll have a civil case to deal with, to reimburse me for my pain and suffering for sitting in Winnebago County Jail for 4 days. Now, let's move on to this. I now have a no contact order. Can't read that, but I now have a no contact order with Kathy McDermott, who honestly I have no idea who Kathy McDermott is. I'm going to assume she's the lady who I spoke to that has the permit for City Market. Kathy McDermott, who I've had one conversation with in my whole life, who I could care less about. The only reason it is an no contact order is to keep me away from City Market and to keep me away from protesting in City Market. Not because she feels threatened, not because she feels harassed, because Kathy McDermott is less than a speck to me. Kathy McDermott has nothing to do with this. In the scheme of things, Kathy McDermott is not even in the bigger picture. But they use Kathy McDermott as a pawn, which I'm sure that Kathy McDermott was glad to be a pawn to try to keep me away from City Market. Nobody should be going to City Market and spending any money that will give any revenue to Kathy McDermott from now until eternity. Also, a no contact order with Deputy Colino and Deputy Havens, however you say the name. I could give a damn about Deputy Colino and Deputy Havens. Couldn't even tell you what they look like. But for some reason, they are in so much fear of me that they need a no contact order. The police officers that walk around with guns and badges and bulletproof vests and tasers and pepper spray need a no contact order with little old me. No, not because they feel threatened. This is a ploy, once again, to keep me away from City Market, because they'll be at City Market on Friday. Cowardice. So once again, I want to point out, if these are the extents that the crooked, corrupt Winnebago County Sheriff's Office, in cahoots with the Rockford Police Department, in cahoots with the Metro Service, in cahoots with the City of Rockford, in cahoots with the State's Attorney, if they will go to these extents and sit somebody in jail for 4 days over protesting, over walking on a crosswalk, what you think they do to get drug bust? What you think they do to solve robberies? What you think they do to solve homicides? How many people's rights do you think they violate to solve a homicide case if they violate my rights to get me to stop walking on a crosswalk? How many people you think they got sitting in Winnebago County Jail on false allegations and bold-faced lies right now over robbery charges or homicide charges or drug charges so that way they can meet their quota? How many people you think sitting in there over that if they have me sitting in there over walking on a crosswalk? Again, the reason that we have protested, the reason that I will continue to protest, is because this city is steeped in corruption, and this city is steeped in bigotry and racism. And a few other things I don't have the energy to muster up words for right now. So, I just wanted to make sure that before this week continued on, and before the demonstrations continued on, because the demonstrations will continue, and the protests will continue, I wanted to make sure that I alerted the public to the extent that the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office will go to try to protect the revenue of the vendors inside City Market. Now let me point this out too for the people who keep talking about the small businesses and the money that they losing. Has any of those small businesses inside City Market, did any of them speak out when we were inside City Market the very first week that we went there, when Mrs. Kathy McDermott sent her white undercover officers or off-duty officers, whatever they was, the people that was doing security? How many of those vendors spoke out when she sent them in there to assault me and the person that I was with? When she sent those white men in there to try to intimidate me while I was speaking? I didn't see too many vendors upset about that. How many of those vendors are upset about the young man who got tased while his hands was up? The multiple people who got tased while their hands were up. How many of those vendors are upset about the treatment that people got on that crosswalk at City Market? If they don't care about those injustices, I don't give a damn about their revenue. That's the problem with this city, with this state, and with this country, is that money and profit is more important than people and justice. Nobody should be going to City Market ever. Especially no black people. Ever. Not just this year, the year after next, and the year after that too. Period. City Market should be something of the past. Let me say this also. None of these things happen in a vacuum. Okay? The Winnebago County Sheriff's Office, the Rockford Police Department, the Metro officers that work there, the elected officials of this city, the state's attorneys, the district attorneys, everybody cahoots, all working together to continue these injustices. These injustices that they have done to protesters and to demonstrators since May 30th. They have taken more time to try to sweep underneath the rug and to try to arrest and harass people that's protesting than they have spent trying to give justice to the citizens of this city who had their human rights violated by these crooked, corrupt police officers. All right, that's all I got. Again, the demonstrations will continue. The protests will continue. Kathy McDermott should not receive a dollar of anybody money in this city anymore, except for the white supremacists and the racists, which I'm sure is plenty enough of to keep her afloat. Deputy Colino and Deputy Heavens should have no respect from any citizen in this city or in this county. Dominic McNeese should have no respect from any citizen in this county or in this city for this bold-faced lie that he put on this paper to imprison 2 people unjustly. Winnebago County, Rockford, Illinois, get some lawyers. Civil suit coming.